Gary, did you manage to respond to the exhibition center of the IAC that we had a meeting a few days ago?
I that is on my short list for today. It ended up in my queue, and I did not finish the attachments to it, but I will respond today.
Okay, great. No, because I think there's not much time, and we run the risk
Yeah.
to remain closed out. And yeah, I think everybody here, we have seen the launch of Starship. That was really enthusiasm and something great that they made 90% of the goals, and just the reentry was. But I think they were expecting that the reentry will not would not have been easy, because we have seen many tiles flying away before the burning phase. And I think the starship was not entering correctly. It was turned.
It looks like attitude control system didn't work at all. It relied only on the flaps, and it was not enough.
Yeah,
So it was tumbling. Probably that's what killed it.
yeah, yeah. Well, however, I think it's very, very good steps ahead in this test, and we are nearer to have 100% working, fully reusable launch vehicle. Even if I read that Elon Musk said that Starship needs some hundreds unmanned flights before carrying people on board. That would mean maybe a long time before having it.
Well, Falcon 9 will fly 140 times this year. So once they get going, they can go really quickly.
Yeah, but maybe Falcon 9 was not that critical from the point of view of the FAA license grant. It was easier in 2015 and in the years before. Now FAA is very strict, and they take time to release their licenses and so on.
That's what a significant amount of what we were talking about on Capitol Hill, this week, as to, how as the cadence goes up and the variety of launch vehicles evolves, how is the regulatory process going to evolve? And this is an opportunity for fine-tune policy intervention.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, I have read that the rules are changing, and things are changing for FAA. Also, FAA asked for a bigger budget in order to be able to maybe to hire more people and to make things quicker and so on. So okay.
Hey, Gary, was there any any progress on potential streamlining the all sought after one-stop shop?
Well, there is there. It turns out there's been a bill that's been reported out of committee in the House. House Resolution 6131 that is, attempting to both provide the resources and a realignment of responsibilities, splitting things between the FAA and the Office of Space Commerce in the Department of Transportation. It's and basically realigning the resources. There seems to be some bipartisan agreement that there's something that needs to be done, basically to deal with the altered cadence and the variety of new things. And the launch and reentry looks like it'll have to be in a, elevated FAA, considerations, but the whole notion that, if you want to, it isn't just a license to launch something. Okay, the approval process is, fairly convoluted between, the FAA, the FCC, the NOAA, and the NTIA. It took, I had to get 3 experimental licenses in recent times, and it took me 18 months to clear the process for 2 LEO 6U CubeSats and 1 12U CubeSat going to a lunar orbit. And that's that's just one one very, very modest initiative, and the delay cost us a launch slot, and necessitated rebooking and substantial expense in those regards. The how you go off and do it, if you were coming into this without some contacts and means of intervention in the process, and expect to get it done, quite frankly, I don't see how you do it. We ended up going through and pre-coordinating the technical portion of it first, because we knew that it would be an issue. There's the potential for issues, and we had negotiated that with NASA before we even turned in the application. We had NASA sign off on our application before we turned the damn thing in, for God's sakes, because we knew what was what we were running into, and that wasn't even enough. The NTA soiled their pants over the fact that they couldn't just say no, because we had already figured out the way to yes.
I don't want to dig into it. I feel your pain there. But just one would think that this is what the Office of Space Commerce is supposed to do, is, interconnect. Lucky you got the connections that you have, but I digress from that right now, because in the exact same boat that you're in, especially with novel space activities. But
if you find yourself in a situation where you're tilting at this, even if it comes down to tasty adult beverages or fresh baked goods, we can we may be able to offer some some angles that could be useful for you there. It's a difficult difficult road to navigate.
I'm sending a message to Frank because I don't know if he planned to join, because yeah, he said he accepted, but he accepted the General Assembly next week, not for today. Maybe he cannot come. However, Robert is here. Hi, Robert.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thank you. And yeah, I think we can start. We are now already 13 minutes after the beginning. We were just conversating on several arguments that are, however, have something to do with what we do, but we can now start with the agenda that let me check the agenda. Well, maybe I didn't issue an agenda, but I think our agenda is the same.
It was in the invitation, in the Zoom invitation.
Yes, maybe yes. Maybe you have it, Robert. You have it under your finger. Could be.
I do. The document or the agenda?
The agenda.
And get it. Mhm. Two screens is not enough. So yeah, I have the agenda. I'll paste in the chat right. Oh, I know. Yeah, the agenda item is the number 1 is promotional materials, 60-second videos and flyer. Number 2 is the calendar for this year, and I'll post that all into the chat. So
Okay.
item number 1 is promotional materials, and under that it says 60-second videos. Item number 2, under that first is flyer.
Great. So, yeah, if you want to take the chair of this meeting, I'm grateful to you because for today, I already have launched the Starship and I will be.
I was, and I actually launched them before that.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I was at your time with you. And actually, this is the first time
We don't hear you. Your volume is low.
volume as well. Okay, hold on.
Is this better? Is this
Yes.
better?
Yes,
Yes.
very much better.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Thank you. So I have like a couple of microphones here, different devices. All right. So the first, I'll post the agenda in the chat here. This is that you sent out. The first item on the agenda is promotional materials. There's 2 items under that. One is the videos and one is the flyer. So Mikhail, if you want to address your great videos you've been working on for everybody, which we so much appreciate, you can go ahead and talk about that.
Okay, can you hear me well?
Excellent, excellent.
Okay, so when I joined last year as a small company, just one-man show, I participated in this big full-day, half-a-day event when Adriano spoke and Frank White spoke and Rick Tomlinson spoke, and it was so impressive, so convincing. I really loved it. I joined the whole thing. But then I saw I had a problem explaining it to other people who I wanted to inspire, and at conferences, at events, meeting people face to face, and I realized it's difficult for me, a newcomer, to do that. I could only address and ask these people to watch these long videos during that event, for example, but that will be too long and not too convincing. That's why I offered at some events this year, last year, that we may have this short 1-minute videos, which we can post on all social media in this new fancy format, short reels, because they circulate much easier. Post them on every social media available to the SRI, NSS, or any participant organization. This way we'll circulate them freely. And the topics of these videos should be either the generic explanation of the 18th SDG course, SDGs in general, or whichever each company, each coalition member, how they see it from their angle, how they benefit from that, how they think their particular job will benefit the SDG cause. And I just offered this idea, and I volunteered to assemble this together because I'm a skydiving flyer, camera flyer on the side, and I edit these videos all the time. So we played with the formats, and we came up with a kind of standard today's modern shorts reels format acceptable for YouTubes and Instas. I don't know, we have the samples which we recorded with myself and Adriano. We can circulate them for everyone to see. We can issue a set of simple requirements.
Mikhail, sorry, because
that as well. I mean, we've got all the recordings,
Frank
but
just
he wanted
joined
to
us
redo it, clean
now.
up some of the stuff,
Frank,
and then
hello, Frank.
cut it and put it in. In other
We are
cases, people
hearing
have
maybe
pre-recorded it and ready to go.
noise in
Uh,
your.
But then they wanted to offer the live session as well.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
So
I think personally the pre-recordings work.
Frank, sorry, maybe you are not listening to us, but we were listening to some background in your microphone, could be. However, we have just started the meeting, and Mikhail is saying what he's doing with the small videos, 60-second videos, that we will be inviting all of our partners to produce one of these things. And okay, so now he is going to demonstrate what he's doing. I hope you are hearing me and okay. Okay, Mikhail, yeah, go ahead.
Well, the idea is that if we all agree, if we agree with the format, then I can write down the set of requirements, which is very simple, short messages, the format, the sound quality. I will be accepting these inputs, basically video file, audio file, logo of the company, put them together, send them to Adriano, so that then he can post on any social media. We didn't circulate the examples, no, of those samples. Okay, I post.
Not that I know of, yeah.
Okay, I post in the comments 2 short reels, 60 seconds each, one for SRI and one for myself as an examples. That's it.
Should we should you maybe could you maybe share to show it?
The share screen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or
Can you share it on your side? Yeah, if you can do it, I think you're.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those rich people and money of the private jets.
Momento. I will share my screen. Can you see it?
And mansions and space tourism, they waste our planet's resources. I hear this a lot, and I disagree with the space tourism part. First, space industry is still in development and needs a lot of money. And space tourists, commercial space tourists, they provide this money as free funding for the industry. Second, space is still hard, risky. And these people, they should not be even called tourists. They are explorers, pioneers. They pave the way for those who will follow. So we're interested in them traveling more, not less. Idea Space Travel joined the coalition of 70 organizations supporting the sustainable development of space and sustainable development of Earth, and promote adding sustainable space development as 18th Sustainable Development Goal to the United Nations Program of the Development of our Planet and People until 2030. Those rich people who spend money on the private.
Good. So this is the sample made by Mikhail, and this is mine.
Great job. Great job.
To be truly sustainable, our civilization needs to achieve the enormous resources, energy, and space of our solar system. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations 2030 Agenda are a system of universally shareable humanist and humanitarian goals. We propose now to add an 18th Sustainable Development Goal to the 2030 Agenda. Space Renaissance International and the National Space Society, in partnership with 71 organizations for space advocacy and universities, have already presented the proposal of a resolution to add an 18th Sustainable Development Goal focused on civilian space development. This is our commitment, and we invite everybody to join our coalition of the co-promoters.
Yeah, so let me say this is not my best. I will do something better. Even because I was too near the camera, and yeah, I know how to do it, and I will do it in the next days, and we get a better product. However, yeah, this is the idea. Mikhail is developing, so we will send, everybody will send our own short videos, maximum 60 seconds, and he will put together the things. Sorry, I because I am used to always make things, but okay. So back to you, Mikhail. If you have
No, that's the idea. Everyone sends the raw material to me. I edit, put them together in the similar format, make sure it's 60 seconds so I can qualify for the shorts and reels, send them make them available to Adriano. Maybe we end the cycle when people have the chance to look at the draft. Maybe they are not happy. Maybe they want to change something. And we can do 5, 10 per week. We have, what, 70 coalition members. People can do 1, 2, 3, doesn't really matter. Idea is to hit the big items and send them into the circulation, and then each company sends their own message, and they can post it on their social media. But I assume the key messages will be coming from SRI and SS, and then all of us will be liking and sharing. So this can create a wave of these short reels spreading everywhere and delivering the message. That's the idea.
Fabulous, fabulous. So what does everybody think about those, about the concept, and of course about those amazing 2 videos?
I think the combination of, getting the, essentially the same message in different voices, it's going to, has the potential for resonating well, and getting, significant mind share in those regards. Is, each of us, have a, different approach to articulating things. And so it's worthwhile to be able to showcase that.
Thank you, that's awesome. Thank you. Anybody else? Jim, Wes?
Definitely. Is the message rings true in these videos. Having said that, we have 5 days to submit this in poster form for Luxembourg Space Resources Week. And admittingly, I'm the person that's going to be presenting it there, but I'm not the guy to make the poster. So they want it on A0 format by the 19th, and I need help with that. If we could somehow transmit the message over, in an A0 poster form, I could I would ask for any help I can get with that.
Well, we're close to that. The next agenda item is the flyer.
Oh, sorry.
Adriano's. No, you're fine. That's a right question to ask. So it's a good segue. A little early on the segue, but a perfect segue, because the flyer then can turn into transform bigger. We actually were doing the opposite with the flyer. All of us were jumping on Adriano and said, make it shorter, make it smaller, make it one side. And so now we have the opportunity to expand it. He's going to say, I told you so. He's going to shame us for that, but we'll accept it. So we'll come back to that here in a second. Any other feedback on those great videos that Mikhail did for us, which we appreciate so much?
Amalie, Jim, Frank?
They're probably silenced by the awe, and they cannot speak.
I agree. They were great. I mean, so Mikhail, were you? I mean, we loved your response that you said in the email, and then you turned it into the video, right? Based on that email, based on.
Yeah, because I thought about me first. Remember, my first draft was about SDG, but I thought this hits it exactly where it should be, and that's what I thought.
You did.
And that's the message I want to deliver. Like, we shouldn't repeat the same story, all of us. We should approach it from our angles.
Reinforce it, but you had, that was great. That was. I mean, I really love that perspective. Of course, you didn't add mine about this is like we do for all the other modes of transportation. I noticed, but I mean, to call them explorers and pioneers was just fantastic. That was brilliant, brilliant.
Okay, let's agree then. I will wait for any input from any person, any member, and we probably can post again the set of requirements so there is no confusion, and then I'll start putting them out. And maybe Adriano will fix the yours and then start posting them.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, we will present this call next week during the General Assembly of the Space 18 SDG. That is already, I already sent the invitation to everybody, and we will ask all the partners to make their own video small one, and send it to you, and so we can work this thing. And of course, we will also ask each partner to spread their videos, not only waiting for us to put it on the
Right,
YouTube
right,
channel.
of course.
But
I mean,
they
that's
can-
the idea, the power of the
everyone can
crowd.
do
Yeah.
something of the promotion.
So what with that, we'll give them with the standard hashtags, like we'll decide on, 18th that's hashtag SDG or at whatever the standard hashtags and at signs and
Yeah,
web
hashtag
links,
important,
whatever
yes.
all the standard references. So we'll send that to everybody. So when they distribute their video, and if Mikhail's building their video for them, then he'll put that in the message when he sends the video link back to them. They post it with these hashtags, at signs, and web addresses at the end.
Good.
Awesome. Okay, so the next agenda item is the flyer, which
flyer, okay.
which Adriano bravely took his first stab at that. Do you have your latest version there at your fingertips, or do you want me to try to find it?
For the flyer, we thought better to produce one only flyer that can be then handled by all of our partners. But I think that it is also important that if they want, each part, this is not a requirement, but however, it's an invitation, each organization to make their own flyer, so they can give both the common one and their own. As everybody makes own videos, they can also make a flyer, print it, and give it around everywhere in the conferences where they are, and so on. However, I will show you my two flyers. One is the common one, and the other one is by SI. So okay. So let me adjust the view. See, 2 pages view. Okay. So sharing. Okay, so this is
Nice job. Yeah, we can see it.
with a bit smaller because it was too big. Okay, so
I mean, it
think
looks good.
it should be readable. So as you see, we have the reorganized Sustainable Development Goals, showing that the SDG is sustaining all the remaining 70s. We have a short text about Space 18 SDG, a short text, Space for Sustainability. We have this QR code to add an organization, organization to the coalition, and the main call, join the Space 18 SDG coalition. So this is the front page. In the back page, we have all the logos of the partners, the co-promoters, and we had a discussion in the small committee made by Robert, Mikhail, myself, and Amalie. By the way, Amalie apologizes because she cannot be here today. She is having a very busy week. But we had a discussion, and since it was not clear, we thought that it was not clear why we reorganized the in a hierarchical view the SDGs. So here we explain why. Because we think that there are 3 key pillars that are the industrial development, basically energy, jobs and industry, growth, industrial development growth, and innovation. So these three pillars sustain all of the other SDGs, the social ones, no poverty, no hunger, etc., the environmental ones, and the methodology ones, peace and collaboration and so on. But we also consider that if industrial development restart vigorously on Earth, it will conflict with the environmental goals. Therefore, the only way to make all of these SDGs really sustainable is to add the civilian space development, the 18th SDG, that will support, sustain all of the clusters. So this is explained in few words in the second page. It's that, well, a little bit annoying that we to repeat here the in small size this big picture, but I thought it's important because it's important to show the difference between the neutral, unequalized, let me say, 17 SDGs and the real sustainability. Okay. Then we put here the campaign 2024, our two events that we will talk in the next point of the agenda. 12th of June, virtual panel, and 13th of September, hybrid panel at New York City UN headquarters. And the upcoming events, the Space Tourism Conference in Los Angeles, the 22nd of May, the NSS ISDC in Los Angeles, in the same place, in the Sheraton, 23 to 26 of May, and the IAC 75 in Milan. Okay, so this is what is intended to be a common flyer to be given away by all of our members in all the situations they can do it, to print it on paper and give it away around. While you think a moment about possible comments, I'm going to take some water for myself. Just a moment. Okay, I'm here. You want me to read the text? Maybe it's not very easy to read on the shared desktop.
I've read it loud and clear. This is awesome.
I have no comments. I'll agree.
Okay. Okay. Good.
I wouldn't change anything. I like it. It's got everything. It's got the QR code for linkage to further explanation. It references the abstract. I wouldn't change a thing.
Okay. Thank you. Well, this is already the result of a teamwork. It's not all.
Yeah. And Amalie added a lot of input, a lot of input, just on her behalf to say that she's been very, very active in working with Mikhail and Adriano, and we miss her not being here, but she had a lot of input into all of this. So just put a word.
Adrian, I'm sorry, interrupted you. Adriano, is there still a possibility to do some copy editing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, of course.
All right. I'd like to take a crack at that, not to change the content, but I'm just looking at it and I see a few things that I think would make it more readable.
Yeah, but exactly what, like, are you qualified to do that?
I am.
I will share.
I
Yeah,
am.
God bless. We would love it. Yeah, that
I
would be
will share
amazing.
that,
Thank you so much, sir.
I
All
will
right.
I will share the document here on the chat so you can get the Word document.
We appreciate it so much.
Sure.
It's okay. I can send it to him after the call. I email it to him.
Yeah. Can you send it in some way that it can be edited, you know, rather than a PDF, which you can't really edit?
Yes, but okay, I sent the Word document right now. I shared it in the chat.
Oh, okay, that's fine. That's all I need.
Okay.
Great. Good.
If you correct it, if you change the text, don't care about the size. I will take care of the size of the
Yeah,
format.
okay. No,
Format.
I wouldn't do anything with design. It would just be very small changes. No worries.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Sure. It's great. It's very well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And
Adriano, you might want to consider, when you're on the second page there where you're trying to go and make the point about the reorganization, that's going to end up being in comparatively small print. The details on that. So being able to come up with a way of converging the graphics that get across the notion of the transmission without it being something where you're going to be someone is being invited to try and read something that is in too small of a text to be intelligible. I don't know when you print this out how that's going to come. I have a 54-inch diagonal screen, and it's the text is unreadable. Okay, so you might want to when you look at it, make sure that how oftentimes in architectural drawings where you've got a mixture of scales, you essentially show something as a zoom in and then an arrow transition to a more detailed element. So you can show the original outline and where we're going as a transition or a highlight of it, as opposed to presenting it in a manner where you're expecting somebody to be able to read the ultra fine print.
You are suggesting a graphical explanation.
Yes.
With arrows and this come after this and so on.
Imagine an engineering drawing that's got a
flow,
an inset in it. Okay,
a flow chart.
Yeah. So in effect, what's going off and what you're doing is you've got the graphic of how things are aligned now. Okay, and you're effectively showing that you're zooming in on what, in this case, instead of a specific element, we're zooming in on what matters. Essentially, if you think of it like the periodic table, okay, of elements, it turns out that there's a larger level of abstraction in terms of how those things are ordered. Okay, what we're going off and doing is saying we're taking this graphic original layout, which was just a sequential ordering, and we're putting a level of organization to it. if you will. And what we're conveying is that meta information that these things fit together in a particular way. We're not asking them to try and read the fine print.
Yeah, I think I understand what you mean, and it would be easy to do it in a slide presentation. But how to fit what you say in that small?
I mean, I think you're essentially doing that in that diagram. If you read the text on the arrows, you kind of are doing exactly that.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
maybe
So-
maybe to end, maybe if we make that diagram bigger and
Yeah, maybe-
point to the number the arrows, number the arrows at where you have the text, put a number there, and then say 1 colon, and then say like describe in the steps, because it's actually a
Yes,
you're
yes, yes.
decomposing the
Yeah, we
original
can try.
and you're rebuilding it. So you could have
Hey,
step
wait.
1. Go ahead, I'm
You-
sorry. Someone's
You
talking.
want-
Go ahead.
Gary, you want to try to do that thing? Maybe.
Well, what I can go off and do is I can send you a sketch of what I'm talking about. My key thing is if you imagine
Okay.
instead of having one at the top text and then and the second one underneath it, if you had it in one row, if you will, where you have the original and then you have a blow up, which essentially is the arrow that explains the transformation.
Okay.
That can be in a little bit larger type, and
Okay.
then the resulting diagram. What you do is you then emphasize the transformation that you're describing, and if it's large enough that you can read some of the details, you don't have to be able to capture them all, but enough of them so you see the result of the transformation.
Okay. I will wait for your graphic. I think it will be very better to be understand. Better to be understand at the first sight. When people take our flyer and say, oh, without need to read every lines because we know that people don't like very much to read.
Right, and if you want to dive into the details,
Yeah.
we can have electronic versions of it where you can zoom in and
Yes,
and
of
see it.
course.
That's what we did
Good.
with the the big cislunar marketplace deal and the challenges of power beaming. We did that on an ultra high resolution basis so that it makes sense when you pull it, when you look at it, from a higher level of abstraction. But if you dive down into the details, it actually has, incorporates fancy images from the sources of the ideas.
Good. Taking note of the
Yeah,
action.
are you doing that in PowerPoint,
just Word,
Illustrator, or what is it?
Yes, PowerPoint is good.
Well, what did you actually do it in? What are those graphics in? What I'm telling you is if you send me the source files, I may be able to get,
No,
rather than just give you a
okay,
hand
no,
sketch, I
right-
may be able to.
Right now, I just have this Word source file.
Yeah,
but I also
whatever
have-
it is, just send it to me in the closest thing to the raw format, and I'll send my notes back. And it's
Yeah, yes. I have already shared the Word document here on the chat.
Okay.
Real quick, I might assume, I'm just gonna go ahead and assume that blowing this up into poster format is not gonna be a problem.
Yeah, correct. Exactly.
Good.
And actually, I would, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It should be,
Oh,
What
yes,
you-
so
of
how,
course, we can,
you said,
we can make it bigger. We can put some pictures inside. some I don't know, Starship and things like that inside that will make it for a poster. It will be, more appealing. Yeah, we can. Wes, you and me can work on that maybe tomorrow, as we said.
Sounds good.
Okay. I want to show you, even if, of course, is the SRI flyer, just to make an example of what each organization may do. Just a moment. Yes, just to find it. Just to find it again. Okay, all conference, common materials, flyer, SRI flyer, yes. So I'm going to, just a moment. Okay, this is a little bit more texty, and yeah. So of course we have the logo and the main title is Kicking Off Civilian Space Development, an Urgent Need. I have put here the abstract of our position paper that we finalized 2 or 3 weeks ago. Of course, there is the QR code to register as a member of SRI. There is our organization program 2024 that for in many points is the same of our 18 SDG initiative. And then of course we have the second page is on the 18 SDG coalition with a small invitation made by SRI, invites all terrestrial to join the coalition on Space 18 SDG, and so on. Also here we have the QR code to join the coalition. We have the reorganized SDGs and a little bit of history about the Space 18 SDG history. So we thank, okay, we say that there are nearly 100 space advocacy organizations, universities, and companies. We remember that the coalition already presented the proposal at COPUS in Vienna, and the panel in New York City, and so on. And okay, we also thank, SRI also thanks the unforgotten David Dunlop, NSS, who first proposed the concept of an 18 SDG in 2018. I think this is a due thank, because SRI conceived the 18 SDG during our third World Congress in 2021. But this idea was already around because in 2018, David Dunlop and Michelle Hanlon, I think, and Alfred Anzaldua had made a paper and presentation and some presentations about that. And maybe
Actually,
it was
Adriano,
presented
it was
to
part of the
COPUS.
NSS intervention.
Sorry.
It was part of the NSS intervention in the original discussion of the Sustainable Development Goals as they were being finalized. That was an effort associated with David Dunlop, Mark Hopkins, and myself, actually, that were involved there. And I think it's a perfectly appropriate recognition of David's champion role in that, and his efforts going to Vienna, and that's fine. But it is at the time the perception was they didn't know what to do about a sustainable development goal that had impact across all of conceivably all of the other sustainable development goals, and it was deemed as something that would resolve itself over time. But this was it was recognized that there was an issue there when the original 17 were proposed, and that intervention was supported at the the NGO assembly in New York.
Okay, so so this will be the flyer of SI.
Yeah.
And we also recall here our position paper that I was mentioning before about the key critical issues before 2030 on the part of civilian space development. Just to give an idea of how each partnership organization could handle our common flyer, and in the same time to make their own flyer, detailing their own motivations and rationale around their concept of the 18 SDG. So I think I took even too much time on this, but of course we have to agree on what we do. And okay.
Well, I mean, it wasn't too much time because it was great. It was important. We appreciate it. So great job on that first attempt at flyer. Gary, thank you for that background. That's very helpful. That type of history actually helps us to understand how to go forward in terms of what issues do we have to maybe counter, what approaches. I mean, the fact that they were already realizing that it was cross-cutting and connected to everything that's a big step. But to me, it's kind of crazy that would be a reason to exclude it rather than include it. I mean, there are others. Go ahead,
Which basically where in the you could think of it as in the marketplace of ideas that we're leading up to the definition of the sustainable development goals. The different folks that were involved had different agendas that they wanted to see separately represented. What we were going off and doing is pressing on the interrelatedness of those goals and what resources could be brought to the table as opposed to what resources were being asked for. And
Right.
that turned things around in a way that they were not.
So the
not
fact that
prepared.
Yeah, they wanted to make the situation look more dire than it was. So when you had space and you have the space has the ability to help mitigate all of them.
It changes the discussion. Yeah. Okay. And they were worried that whereas they acknowledged it. And, one of the interesting ironies that, when, the National Space Society has an intervention, the Secretariat would tend to recognize it and allow us the floor. And when we would request a meeting with anyone in the Secretariat, it would be granted. No issue, no argument. This was taken note of by the fellow NGOs wanting to understand what was going on. Now, the reality of the situation is perhaps it's more of the adage of, you should keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Okay, the UN and the National Space Society have a history together. Okay, vis-a-vis other exercises in statecraft where we had differences of opinion. But it was, in general, the idea that, NGOs are coming to meetings saying this is what we can bring to the table, okay, is a sort of a transformative element in the discussion that, quite frankly, the folks in the Secretariat and senior leadership, really appreciate. It is it's a very different deal, and they spent considerable time talking with us as to how one might be able to work with the different nation state delegations to encourage such an understanding.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so thanks. Now we made it all the way through agenda item number 1, which had 2 parts, the flyer and the videos. That's the good news. The bad news is we used up, our hour together. So the next item was the calendar. You see the agenda items there. And we also want to talk about the topics for the roundtable. But I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So, Adriano, do we want to just roll this over into the General Assembly meeting next week, or do we want to do a follow-up? What's best?
No, I think it's better to introduce the
Okay.
roundtables now, in order that when we will talk with everybody next week, we already know
Okay.
what we're talking about.
Okay, so I'll introduce it very, very quickly, and then people give their feedback. So I'm going to share my screen, or attempt to do so right now. Okay, so can everybody see my Word document here?
Yes.
Okay, so at the top here, I pasted to the agenda that Adriano distributed with this call. This is the first items here, which we took care of, and working on the second items right here. Okay, so I'm going to just jump down in here to the roundtables. So again, thank you very much to mostly Mikhail and Amalie, who made big significant contributions to this with Adriano, and but we encourage and welcome everybody's feedback. Let me make it a little bigger. I see Gary with his 99-inch screen squinting. So I'll make it bigger. Thank you. Okay. So the proposed format, so I'll go really at a high level, really quickly, is that last year's event was fantastic. It was an incredible kickoff. Everybody that participated did a fantastic job. And now that we have the benefit of that, planting that flag, pardon the pun, and all the huge amount of increased participation with so many more members, thanks to the hard work of Adriano, which is incredible. We want to carry that momentum. And we want to increase the interactivity so that that's a way of having even more people be able to participate, so that we can use this as a way to hook in and get more participation from our existing members, and also have opportunities to encourage more members to join. So this is partly informational, and then also partly recruiting as well. So go ahead, somebody say, did you want to say, I hear somebody gasp? Okay. All right. So that's overall. So I came up with the idea of like a roundtable type panel format. Now with a panel format, you could still get your same point across. It's just, we do it in a more interesting way. It seems more interesting to the audience because it's more engaging, but you still get your points across, because we're going to work ahead of time to make sure that we're asking questions that give you opportunities to make your same points And if you have points that you want me they want the moderator to make sure that they touch on and prompt you for, we'll make sure that happens. So it's still an opportunity for everybody to shine, but it's also an opportunity for people that may not have the time to put into a scripted, perfected speech. They can still feel very comfortable about coming because it's be conversational. So it will give everybody a chance to participate. So we envisioned the opening keynote to frame the overall discussion. And then we would immediately follow that with 4, 5 topics, each one approximately one. This is nominal right here. This is just sort of notional. 1 hour long panels, maybe 3 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, all identical format with a quick 5-minute introductory framing this presentation to frame the topic. Where does the topic fit? How does it connect? And then to go into the panel discussion for about 35 minutes, then maybe question and answers. We are working on having more audience engagement, both online. We're going to have it because we're going to be pushing this out to all of the members. So, and we encourage members to push it out to their members, but also working on engagement through a partnership locally there in New York, through one or more of the universities. So question and answer, and then a quick 5-minute wrap up just to tidy everything up and then bring up a transition to the next panel. So that's the basic overview. 3 in the morning, have a break, 2 in the afternoon. Obviously, I'll be recorded. Everybody doesn't have to consume it or watch it in one bite because it'll all be broken down whole day. We'll have individual panels broken down on the web, and of course, Mikhail will do his magic on the sound bites, and he'll probably have 2 years worth of shorts to be able to push out. So, what are people's comments and feedback on this approach for the format?
I think the idea of being able to create what amounts to being a framed panel discussion that takes the content that the different participants wish to be able to convey, and frame that as a discussion of not only the content, but putting that content in the context of some outcome, how it contributes to it, contributes to that outcome is a very effective way of, not only getting the most out of what, the presenters have to say, but also engaging the audience.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
We're going to try that.
I think it's a good approach.
Go ahead.
I think it's a great approach, Robert.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And I guess you're qualified. No, just kidding. We're so honored to have you here, sir. We really are. I'm kind of starstruck, actually. I'm not embarrassed to say so. So thank you so much. So we appreciate this is notional, and it's a big day. We're not expecting people to consume it all at once, but I mean, people listen to the most popular podcasts, not some podcasts, but the 2 most popular podcasts right now. So Lex Fridman and Joe Rogan. The average length of those podcasts, not the max, the average is 3 hours and 24 minutes. So people are used to, but they're not going to consume this all at once. We're going to take each hour. It's going to be broken down exactly 1 hour bits on the web, and then shorts. And then of course there will be the option of the whole thing if you want. So that's the way it's going to be. Okay. Any other discussion on the format? I'll quickly review the topics, but in considerations of people's time, we'll send this out and then we can re-engage at the General Assembly or wherever Adriano would like to. Any other comments on the format? Okay. Again, it's partly it's all recruiting
Could
trickery.
you please, Robert, sorry, could you please take away the carriage return visualization
Sure.
on the word? Yeah, because it's a bit noisy.
Okay, I'll try. See.
No, it is a view mode.
Oh, this. I'm sorry. You're
Yeah,
talking about
this
that.
one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry. You should have just said something before, sir. I apologize. I'm so sorry. Okay. All right. So again, and if anybody has any ideas afterwards, please. So these are the topics in no particular order of the group. Adriana, Mikhail, and Amalie had significant contributions. She's not here currently. So I'll just go over the high level. So these are in no particular order. We have 12 high level ones, and we want to condense these into 5, which we'll work on. Honestly, to be honest, I would have spent more time on it if I had those lunches and a lot going on. So I'm intending to bring this down into 5 and then divide it up into, as you see here, and this is mostly developed by Adriano in terms of the much of this content, and then the excellent formatting with the check marks for the 2 different events. So the 2 events, just to give an overview. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Maybe for the ones that didn't participate to our preparation, these 2 events are intended to be the first one just before the COPWAS General Assembly in June. Therefore, it is more oriented to COPWAS. The second one, in the 13th of September, is more oriented to the United Nations General Assembly 79. Therefore, you see in the columns June 12 and September 13, you see which arguments are more suitable to COPWAS or to the UN or both. That's why we have 12 maybe 12 or more.
Currently, yeah.
Yeah,
So.
12, but they are not intended to be all of them on the same panel. They will be split in 2 panels. So we will have 6, more or less 6 arguments for each panel. This is even if they are represented in one only table, just to make our reasoning more easy.
Yeah.
in this.
And some will be both, but the first one, the COPAS one, we will refer to, because it will also be a teaser, a promotional opportunity for the General Assembly one coming later. So Mikhail, do you want to quickly address the first 3 at all?
Well, this whole idea was just to offer some kind of a grouping for the names, to group them in groups. Some set of topics are more related to educational in relation to the 18th SDG, because for me it was really valuable at the first meeting to understand the whole concept. What is this all about? The second just grouping I offered, organizational, related specifically to what we are planning to do, how we organize ourselves, how the coalition grows. And some topics could be called informational, related to different aspects like space resources, laws, and stuff like that. So it was just an idea how we call them so that we understand what we're trying to achieve, because they're slightly different. And that's it. I agree with all the topics there. All of them are really useful.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
I will also note that the two events cannot have exactly the same format, because one is virtual. The June event is virtual, and the September is hybrid. So if we think that the September event can be split in the morning and afternoon, because we will have a physical place, the virtual event in June shouldn't take care of a launch time. Maybe we can make it.
Correct. Good point. Thank you.
Yeah, because it will cover both America and Europe, and we hope even a part of Asia, at least not too distant one for times for time.
I'm wondering if the grouping here topics that were designated more towards Kupus or towards the UN, if it's really a good idea to propose O'Neill orbital colonies to the UN at this moment, because it's such a big idea. It's very technical. I'm thinking that maybe some of these more technical, very large visionary ideas need to be kept within the Kupos dialogue, because they may be controversial. If you propose to the UN you're building a near orbital colonies, do you support us? And there's a lot of opposition. Why are you doing this? You know, it could be quite controversial. Whereas as a technological discussion is completely valid, but not necessarily as policy-driven one. So there are a few items in there. I think that artificial intelligence is very important for the UN at this moment, so definitely should be included in September. You know, some of them are less controversial, but that one in particular caught my eye, that I think it could be, you know, a little bit cautious about that. This is a political thing, you know, the UN thinking of doing this. What are they thinking of doing?
So those are good. That's good feedback. Interesting enough, so Adriano had a different perspective, actually the opposite perspective, I think, on which fell in the rationale for which would go in which category, but I'll let him address that. Sir?
Okay, so what I think we should maybe talk a little bit about the requirements for what we want to do with these two panels. So I think that the scope of the June panel is clear. We want to support our delegation at COPOS. So we want to discuss the things that are more relevant for the COPOS discussion, such as, of course, the space resources. Sorry, I have to go to look at my momento. Yeah. Yeah, so the space resources, I think it's an important point for COPOS. The astropolitics, to talk about the Artemis and ILRS agreements, optimal tools in the new astropolitics arena, how to detect and systemize best practices, and the role of UN COPOS as a clearinghouse for private and public stakeholders' involvement, 100% inclusivity. Orbital debris is a very important point in the current discussion at at Kapos, and it will be present in the legal subcommittee.
It's
in
it's
April.
also very valid for the UN, because if they don't conserve the space environment, we won't be able to use it. The UN has to, take some leadership on orbital debris. I mean, I think that is an issue that they could support without creating a political controversy.
Yes, but maybe while in Kapos, this orbital debris can be a specific discussion argument for one session of our panel. In the UN discussion, this could be embedded in other points. For instance, in the space for sustainability and sustainable space development, we can talk about orbital debris also, together with other arguments. So I think it is different. Let me say the focus of the discussion in the two environments. And of course, it will be very important in the UN General Assembly, the point of peace, space for peace. That will be very important if we are able to develop a good discussion on that. Why not Artemis and ILRS to find ways of collaboration on the moon? This could be a great proposal that we can advance, maybe. And taking the example of the ISS, that is the only place where USA and Russia still collaborate. Maybe the moon be another similar place. No, we have to see this kind of crazy ideas in the mind of as many people as possible. What do you think, Amalie?
Oh, well, I agree with you, but I think you should be very careful with the UN, the focus there. The practical thing, orbital debris is practical. I mean, one could talk about the lunar settlement is going ahead anyway, but when you get, it's very, very far out, very remote, very advanced concept. It's difficult to get them to make the jump in their minds. They're thinking ahead how far. So I would be a bit cautious there with the O'Neill colonies and so on. I because I don't think they could do it. They're not capable of making such a jump in their minds. They couldn't transition civilization to such a level. It's so quickly. They haven't been thinking like this, really. We can see it, but it's somewhere down the road. So you have to sort of start with the Kupos and then gradually build up. But the main thing is not to get a backlash from the UN or from UN, countries, a backlash somehow, a kind of point in the mind where they say, oh, you're going too far, that sort of thing.
One of the things that I just did is I posted into the chat, the document from 2021 technical COPUS presentation that was given that clearly goes through and provides illustrations reflective of larger scale space habitats and puts it in a context of why it is that we're even talking about such things. So the idea that one needs to be wary of what scale of ideas one presents, I would take some question with, but it is important to put it in an appropriate context. And there's the presentation that I posted in there is an example of how we did this, on behalf of the National Space Society.
Yeah, context is important, but just please remember that it is a very political environment. It's like a dry tinder. One somebody gets up and says, "Oh, look what they're doing," and they're sending everything into outer space. We've
From
had
two,
it.
from
The whole thing
2004, to 2000, to 2020, I was the, administrator of the NSS delegation and lead technical, representative. So I'm no stranger to the fact that, it's a complex political environment. But the answer is that I would argue is that the way you deal with complexity is you find a way of framing the issues that are important to you, that allows them to be discussed. One doesn't because it isn't, because a particular way of thinking about things may not be comfortable, or something that somebody's used to, isn't necessarily a reason to not do it. It means that you need to find a creative way of being able to support a context on which those ideas, can be understood. My opinion.
with the advancement of science and everything, it's very important to everybody, isn't it? It's been continuing advancement. Do we have a section on space security and peace? Where is the Adriano? Do you have a kind of a
Well, we have a think about space for peace. That would be the topic for
is that one of the items on the table here, or no?
is the number 9. So maybe Robert, if you can scroll a little bit. Yeah.
Space. Yeah, the immense resources of space is always very difficult phrase, I think, because where are they immense? How can you reach this kind of stage? But perhaps you could put something in there about collaboration for, I don't know, it's the interchange, isn't it? Security interchange for stable global identity. There's the interchange, the informational interchange, which affects everything, all of the defensive structures and the nuclear, non-proliferation, disarmament, and so on. I mean, it's definitely part of space for peace, but it's not really being mentioned here. Perhaps there's another item that could be added. I don't know. How space security could be upgraded and become more collaborative, the collaborative venture for space security. It's very critical because all the nations are relying on space for military defense and so on. Space information is really the thing. But without a collaborative framework for international interchange, it can become very, the climate could just be very non-conducive. I mean, it's quite a large issue. Yeah, that's great. No, needs some more thinking about if I mean, it's really a sort of military issue more than anything, but it links into the treaties, non-proliferation treaties. So, I mean, it is possible to put a lid on it, you know, the escalation. It could be, but it's going to require some careful thought.
I mean, I don't know if it's possible to put a lid on it, but we could try because, yeah,
Well, we could
Yeah.
try, we could at least say something. I mean, somebody says something.
yeah, no, you
it's
should
better
try.
than
You should
nothing.
try. You should try.
Oh, all right, thanks.
Yeah, so we have enforceability issues. So we're at 30 minutes of bonus time. And again, I want to be super respectful for everybody's time. What other there are other initial comments for discussion for now? For anybody?
One thing I would
It
say,
might. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Frank, sir.
one thing I would say, and I think it's inherent in what we're doing, and I don't know much about the UN and its politics, but I feel like if we constantly mention collaboration, areas for collaboration for mutual benefit, I can't see how that could be problematic. And so, yeah, I mean, I would just have our theme be collaboration among the nations in this new environment.
I personally couldn't agree with you more. I think everybody else probably does as well.
And, you know, being able to express that in terms of the need for fostering cooperation, collaboration, and understanding that there are elements of competition. Okay, gosh, gee, we can compete to help make, protect the planet better. Okay, to go through and expand the options open to humanity. Okay, yeah, these are, it's, we're reflecting, human nature, and how to channel that to our better angels, if you will. The other thing is that I did paste back into the chat, the little example of how I was thinking of reorganizing the diagrams, to emphasize the transition, as opposed to trying to present the diagrams as an eye chart, since we already have a larger version of the diagram as we like to see it on the first page.
I think everybody would agree on these 2 points. Any discussion on Frank or Gary's points about emphasizing both the collaboration and cooperation as well as the competition, or what we call coopetition sometimes? Frenemies? Okay, so with that, we'll distribute, we'll do some updating and some cleanup on this, and then we'll distribute this in preparation for next week's meeting. But in the meantime, I will be looking forward to any feedback that anybody has. They can contact me at any time, email, call, whatever is easiest for you, as we continue to refine these topics for everybody's consensus, and then to be able to start being able to identify and solicit for speakers. And again, everybody's invited, everybody on this call, everybody throughout the coalition. So we really want this to be as close to a town hall as possible for both events.
If I
Adriano?
may make a suggestion. Before the 21st, that's next week, the General Assembly of Space 18 SDG. I think the program of the two events should be separated and put in a more definitive. Well, not definitive because of course all the
Yeah, but a first
departments
draft.
make their
Yeah.
suggestions, but however to make basically what I think it will be the list of the topics of each panel of each session will become the abstract for the introduction, for this 5 minutes introductory. In the 5 minutes introductory slot, we will present the questions, basically, no? The issues,
Yeah.
introducing the discussion. So this will be, I think, will be easy way to manage the panel.
Yep. Okay. And anything else from anybody else? Gary, you want me to make it bigger for you?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you very much for all your assistance. Mikhail, anything, sir?
I just wanted to emphasize that in my understanding, these two meetings are meetings between coalition members, not presentations to UN or copiers. So if there are any tricky topics from the UN point of view, especially those topics, we definitely need to discuss at the round table so we understand the UN position, the weakness, the strength, so that we are aware of them. That's it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point.
Yes, we don't have to. We don't have to be afraid of. Yeah, caution is okay, but to be afraid and not saying things that could be controversial. So let me say, in the current world situation, everything can be controversial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would strongly urge folks, please do click on that link and look at the presentation that we gave on behalf of NSS. Okay, I believe being able to articulate the outcomes we wish to achieve is absolutely critical to achieving any level of convergence in terms of a confluence of interests, and it is being able to draw out that confluence of interests, which is the essence of getting anything done, in the world in terms of statecraft with respect to the United Nations. Otherwise, there's very not particularly endearing characterizations of what have been used to describe the normal conduct of business, in that environment.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? Any other comments, Frank? Okay. All right. Thank you so very much for everybody. Adriano, the last word.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining and for chatting and for organizing. And yes, I'm sure we are doing a great work and we will go ahead. Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much, everybody. All right. God bless. We appreciate everybody's feedback. Take care. Bye-bye.
Ad astra.